Welcome to St. Mary Council regular meeting, January 28th, 2026, 6 p.m. Parish Council Meeting Room, 5th floor, Courthouse, Franklin, Louisiana. At this time, I'll ask Reverend Matthews for our invocation and Honorable David Hill to lead us in the pledge.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Let us all stand and bow in reverence to God. Father, in the name of Jesus, we thank you once again tonight for this great fellowship among your people. We thank you for the agenda that you've set before us tonight. And now, God, we set that agenda back in your hands. And we ask that you would govern our thoughts and our minds, that you would unite us on one accord, that we would do what's honorable in your sight. We thank you for all of those, our guests, that are going to come and appear on tonight's agenda to contribute to the decisions that we make tonight. But we also thank you for our entire constituency across St. Mary Parish. We ask that you would bless us and that you would continue to add increase to do the things that are necessary to improve the quality of life for your people. And God, we pray for all of those that are elected and appointed to public office throughout our state and our nation. And we ask that in these troublesome times that you would steady the hearts and the hands of every decision maker, that we would seek you first, and that we would do everything that is necessary to bring glory and honor to your name and your name alone. We ask it all through Jesus Christ our Lord. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the
Flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
and throw ice out.
Got the wrong agenda.
Give them to me one.
The roll call, Mrs. Morgan.
Reverend Matthews?
Present.
Mr. Ina? Mr. Olander? He's absent. Mr. Hill?
Present.
Mr. Rolfe?
Present.
Mr. Abear?
Present.
Mr. Davis?
Present.
Mr. Duhorn?
Present.
Mr. Adams?
Present.
Dr. Rink?
Present.
And Mrs. Hidalgo?
Present.
You have a quorum present, ma'am.
Thank you. Item 5, reading of the minutes of the previous meeting, first regular meeting, January 14th, 2026. I entertain a motion.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to dispense with the minutes.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Hill, second by Mr. Abear. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 6, guest. We have Mr. Jacob Bell to appear before the council to discuss Save Our Children Mentoring Program. Mr. Bell, you can approach.
Good afternoon. Well, thank you all for having me, giving me the opportunity to speak to the council.
Record.
My name is Jacob Bell. I'm a volunteer at Save Our Mentoring Program on 5th Street where the old library used to be. What the program, and I give you all a brief on that, it's a little bit more complicated than that. The kids that we're working with are kids from single parents, trouble houses. I just had an incident with a young lady that was threatening to commit suicide. Which you guys know, if you're keeping up with society, that's a high things in our society with our youth. And there's many reasons behind it. Some of it have to do with the social media.
Can you speak up a little bit?
Yes, speak into the mic. Thank you, sir.
I'm sorry. But my purpose for here today, and I volunteer and I don't get paid, because I don't need external validation. Things I do it from my heart with passion. Because what I see happens to our children. There's too many of them that they're going from the schoolhouse to the jailhouse. And we need to stop that pipeline. And only way I see us doing that is start with these children when they're young. Education. One of the things I find at the center, and I can't figure it out, parental involvement. We take these kids, make sure they do their homework. We feed them if the budget permits, and that's one of the problems we have with that center. We don't get to resources we need for that center. I've taken up on myself. Was raised and born here. I deal with Robert Allen, Mr. Cassidy, which I'm trying right now to get a letter of reconsideration because a lot of work needs to be done. You look at the building on the back, it got mold. On the inside, it's not a good environment for kids. I can't tell the last time that place had strip clubs or whatever. But what I would like you guys to do, and you have time, just come over and inspect the place and give us some recommendation. We're open-minded. We don't know everything. But if you can, direct us, and our numbers are on there, where we can go. Because I don't care if it's my insurance company, my bank, everywhere I go. Come back. I come back rather than distribute all the money. And that's repeatedly. I've been here 6 years and I've been at the center and I get that repeatedly. That shouldn't be. You can get in the newspaper and talk about it. I'm a person being about it. Just like you say success. I look at success as not what you accumulate. As you look at success as how many times I fall down and get back up. But at the same time, some of us need some type of handout. Not a handout, but I prefer a handout. You can give a man a fish to eat for a day. But you teach him how to fish when you're in it every day. So it's teaching and training these children to get ready for this world. Just like I put some stuff attached to that paperwork that's showing you with the STEM program. If your kids are not in it, they need to get in it. You just got a magnet and melon sharp. We're getting a lot of industries. Things starting to shape around here. Another thing, Mr. Matthews, I was here a couple of weeks ago. It was kind of 5 weeks. But he made a proposal about an amusement park. With all this industry, these people got kids and stuff, family. That's revenue. That's tourists. You can build you got plenty of land. Land ain't an issue. I got 20 if you need it. I got 12 more if you need it. But right now I'm working with Mr. Adams with the ag department, a community garden. And we need to start teaching our kids that. Stop me at the bags and cans. Why you think they got so many diabetes and high blood pressure? They died. We just, even in the school system. When I went to school, we didn't read just like we were at home. Another thing is with the discipline with the school system. I see some protocols written down on paper. It's not being followed. But the incident I did with this young lady, and that's suicide, and it's serious. You're getting a lot of it. But me, even if you counsel me, if y'all can donate something to help us help these kids, we deeply appreciate it. Thank y'all for your time. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, could I, Mr. Bell,
Mr. Ina?
come back up?
Madam Chair, Mr. Paul, I know at some point in time, we had made an allocation, we did some work over there. It's been a little while. Could you happen to know when the last time we made an allocation? I know we did some upgrades of AC unit. It's been a few years. You know the last time that was something
I don't know
somebody's
the last time,
allocated?
that we did improvements to, we give them a facility to operate out of, and then we
Right.
give them a $7,500 allocation every year towards operations.
Right.
It was 10,000, and when we cut everybody, they got cut 2,500. But I'm not sure, I'm not sure that they're aware that there were problems with the facility. We have maintenance crew that can go out there and do things, but, sir?
You finish. I wait until you finish.
Yeah, no, I'm not aware that there needs to be stuff done. I haven't been made aware that there are problems.
But I'm saying, I'm personally, I've been there 6 years. The same things I've done on my own and went in my pocket. I use my time, energy, and money because I have a passion for these kids. I come from Baton Rouge. I work at the Fam Club. It's good. I was the chairman of the community. I had 3 adopted students. Children Miracle Network, Chicot, all that. But I had a better support from the community. And believe it or not, your Carpet of Miracles was willing to give you money for these kids. But the problem I'm having is getting somebody in this town who write grants. It's a shame that in some of these offices, I can go to St. LeBlanc office, it's locked down like Fort Knox. I go in the courthouse to talk to the people in there, you gotta be screened, it's all locked down. That's a public facility. Should have your public to be able to go and talk to these officials and return a call. But I don't have a dollar. I'm just a common man. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I try to get things that y'all be writing about and talking about. Don't talk about it, be about it.
This gentleman and I have been friends for a long time, and he's asked this now for 2 years. And I think it's a good program, unlike some of the ones out there. And I think we should spend a little time digging to come up with something, at least what we used to pay.
Yes.
And then maybe even a little more.
Yes, sir. Appreciate that.
Steiner, you want
I
to
want to
finish?
follow up, Mr. Bell. I know Reverend Matthews and I, we have been working
Yeah.
on this for,
Yeah.
to get some
Oh, yeah.
things done, because I know when we, there was some
Oh, yeah.
serious work that got done
Yeah.
at that place
Right.
over time, but I think if trying to say, let us know what specifically is floor, if it's a roof, it's or whatever, you can touch base with either Reverend Matthews or myself and let us know specifically. I have to say, Mr. Gouvernail, when we've worked together,
Yeah.
you know, he's been very receptive
Yeah.
to try to get things done or whatever, so, you know, I think if you can communicate
and I
specifically what
was-
the needs are, we can
Yeah, and I was,
work together.
we just had a board, well, they just had a board meeting the other day. And I presented to them, I was coming in.
I just know you see how Parish President said
Right.
he's in favor of,
Yeah.
you know, kind of working with that. So
Yeah,
just-
I've been
just
knowing Sam, me
communicate.
and Sam talk
But
all
I'm
the
saying
time.
it's a communication
Yeah.
thing. If you just
Right,
let us
right.
know, and I'm glad you brought it to, you know, the public's attention and brought it to my attention because I wasn't
Right.
aware. But if you just let us know, then I'm sure we can.
Yeah, y'all been
work
very
something out.
helpful when I come to
Yeah,
you.
just
If
let
it's
us know.
something you can do. Because, like I said, things I've done, like I worked with Mr. Adam over at the,
Mr.
at the
Adams
high school.
Ag
We
teacher.
did a landscaping over there. But that, now again, the way it was done, it had to be water, which at that time, they didn't have water coming. I called, y'all did a great job. I called you guys, when I call you guys for stuff to be done, you guys will come. It may take a minute, but like I said, sometimes you can look over there, grass is tall. That's a place to learn. It should be kept upgraded and kept, and even outside, you can see on the back, I mean, you got mold falling. You got that tree over there just dropping leaves all the time. It's just some, man, it's just spark. Well, let's put some light somewhere in that area. It's a lot of things, you know where it is. So we have to guess what. But things have to be, you know, focused on that. Then we might can stop some of this pipeline from the schoolhouse to the jail house. That's my mission.
Reverend Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Mr. Paul, is grass cutting one of the maintenance tasks that the parish performs at that site?
I didn't think we did. I thought they took care of the grass because we don't charge anything and we pay the
Right.
insurance and
Right.
you know that. So, but I'll have to check. I mean, I'll have to check with my maintenance guy because you know we do cut some grass and it may be one of the
Right.
areas, but I would have to check.
And I think that would be perhaps an ideal place to begin so that there's, as Councilman Ina said, an open dialogue with the board and the volunteers that Save Our Children Mentoring Program in terms of what services, what maintenance
Right.
tasks the parish does perform so that there are no false expectations.
Yes, sir. I got you.
You know, we don't want you guys to be sitting, waiting for something to get done that you are under the assumption that the parish does,
Right.
and the parish has no idea that you're expecting us to do that
Right.
because it wasn't a part of the original
Right, yeah,
agreement.
you're right.
And I realize that not a lot, but a few people have kind of come and gone since this initiative began with Mr. Reggie Harrell, which was, you know, probably more than a decade, well, almost 2 decades ago.
Yes, sir.
And as Councilman Ina said, there was a lot of investment, public investment, that went into that project directly from the parish. But there was some glory years for Save Our Children back in 2005, between 2005 and 2010, when of course we were under a different administration back then, state administration, and the Department of Public Safety and Corrections, which was the parent agency to the Office of Juvenile Justice at that time. which was funding grants for mentoring services. And Save Our Children, because of the collaboration that we had, was the recipient of almost $300,000 in grant funding back then. Now, we were awarded and we were able to draw down probably about 150 or 60,000 within that grant period. But then we elected a new governor in the middle of that cycle, and the new governor cut all those programs out. So, and I haven't seen those programs resurface since then. And that was, like I said, around 2009. But I said all of that to say that if we did it before, we can do it again. And so there are opportunities available that we can collaborate and leverage additional public resources to help support that very worthwhile initiative. And because it's something that needs to continue. We need to have that type of mentoring and support for what statistically are known as at-risk youths. And so, unfortunately, the way our systems of government and processes have evolved over the years, the majority of at-risk youths happen to be black and brown people. And so, while that should not be a factor, we understand that in order to break the cycle that you're describing, which is the prison, what did you call it? The schoolhouse to prison pipeline, or however it's been referred to, in order to break that cycle, it's going to take efforts like what you all are doing in that type of facility. And so I think we all have a genuine interest in supporting that going forward. So we just need to be creative and find ways to help leverage the resources that are necessary. And it may not take 300,000. We may not get 300,000. But if we can sow little seeds, I believe they can produce great returns. And so that's where we need to begin. So I'm committed to doing that. I know there are other members of this legislative body that are committed to doing that as well, because we've done it before. I'll say thank you for coming forward, and thank you for the work that you all are doing. I'll say to this body and to our administration something that I've said several years back under previous administrations, that perhaps what we would be more instrumental in doing, and our efforts might be a lot more productive, is if we were to do what some other parish governments, parish councils are doing in the state of Louisiana, and that is creating an NGA, non-governmental agencies grant fund, so that we take a certain amount of money from our annual budget and we put it into a pool and we create a competitive grant application process. That way we know we've got a certain amount of money, this is the cap, and those applicants, those organizations that successfully compete for that funding will be the ones that are awarded. Because we know we can't fund every program that comes up here asking for money. That would eliminate the rhetoric, and it would eliminate I guess the danger of having to select who we're going to fund and who we're not through a non-competitive process, which is what we've been doing for the last, I don't know, throughout the history of this parish council and police jury. But I think it's worked in other parishes. I work in other parishes in a nonprofit environment where we apply for those competitive funds. Sometimes I win the competition, sometimes I don't. And it may not be $20,000 or $30,000, depending upon the pool of funding and how many applicants they award funds to. It might be a $5,000 grant that 10 organizations may be the recipients of. But it's a fair process, and it eliminates the burden of having to cherry pick who we're going to fund. So I think that's something that's worthy of some revisiting and some reconsideration. But again, thank you, Mr. Bell. I appreciate what you do.
Thank you guys for having me.
So,
God
I
bless
have,
you.
Oh, Mr. Davis?
yeah, this 605th Street, that's the address?
Yeah, where the old library used to be,
Okay,
right on that corner.
okay. I'd like to come by and see it. I'd like to continue the conversation.
Yeah, because I put another paper. They got the sheriff and the school board, and I've talked to Mr. West already. I'm looking to talk to Ms. Black, because I would like to, because it's all correlation to SAM. We do it all on the SAM page. We just need to coordinate put some of them resources where it really needed. That's all. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate y'all for your time.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, item 7, public comment. And at this time, we'll ask Mr. Chad Ross.
Good evening, Chad Ross, 504 Tournament Boulevard in Berwick, Chairman for the Drainage District of Bayou Vista. I'm here to, last meeting, we had discussed a $500,000 line item for budget to go toward Bayou Vista Drainage. And I brought in front of you guys some capital outlay that we had received, as well as the previous estimates of what the two projects that we had in that capital outlay would cost. I asked that we table the vote until I could get you guys some additional information. I spoke with my engineer, and he went back and redid a proposal. We only did the one project as opposed to the two, because this project alone would be so much that the other one wouldn't, there'd be real no point in presenting that to you guys because of the cost. But we are going to continue to work up a cost estimate on that other project, and I can present that to you guys at a later time. But what we have, I think everyone's got a copy of the new numbers to add another pump to the Bertrand Vining pump station, to move the generator and to add the new pump. We're looking at an estimated cost of $1,346,152.50. We believe that we may be able to shave a little bit off of that as we would get into the project, but that's a really good estimate that we were able to put together for you guys. So if you look at the capital outlay that we received, along with the $500,000, it still would not be enough to do this project. That's how much the cost increase has been over the last 4 or 5 years. Whenever we originally applied for this, the estimate was given back in, I believe 2021 is whenever they did the estimate, which allowed us to apply for the capital outlay, which was granted in 2022. And at that time, I think that I want to say it was $800,000 project, right? To which we would have to have some matching funds in there to do the project, and we didn't have them at that time. So, you can see that the $500,000 would help toward getting this project done, but it's still not enough. So that's where we stand with it. Over the past 2 weeks, we've had some other things that have come up with the drainage district as far as the subsurface drainage in the neighborhoods that we've been dealing with. We have some severe clogs. We've got some water lines running through drainage lines. We've got a lot of things going on. So the money could be used. I spoke with Mr. Hill several times about possible what's the machine?
Water jet machine.
A water jet machine that would help with that. But the end of the road is that without having somewhere to pump this water out of, it doesn't matter how fast I can get it out the neighborhood. If I can't pump it out fast enough, then we're spinning our wheels. So I believe that the most important thing is to get all the pumps in order. With the litigation having been solved, that will sit there and increase our pumping capacity to some extent. With this right here, we'd be able to increase it even more. And once we get that done, then we can start moving backwards in the system to get it out the streets faster so we can pump it out faster. But if we don't have the pumping capacity, it doesn't matter how fast it gets out the streets, it's just going to be a holdup while we're waiting for the pumps to work. So that's where we stand. Do we have any questions?
Madam Chair,
Adams?
I understood when some of this money is all not for drainage. I know they had some sewer issues in that area. Yeah, no, that's allocation straight out of the 310 money, and I know it can be used for all that in that district. I'm just asking the question. My understanding wasn't for all just for drainage. It was for other stuff in Bayou Vista area.
It was.
Am I right or wrong?
Yes, you're right.
Okay.
I have a question, a real quick question. How much money is already allocated out of capital outlay. I don't have those figures in front of me this week.
I almost didn't recognize you with your white hat.
Yeah, I apologize, I didn't get dressed up for this one. I'm sorry, I have all this stuff in front of me.
My records show that I have two allocations from capital outlay out there. One is $375,000 for drainage culvert installation, and the other is $500,000 for a pump at Bertrand Vining.
Yeah,
That's the two.
the 500,000 is what
That's the
we-
two capital outlays
Yes,
that I have on my list, and which would require about a $300,000 match, not a little under $300,000 match combined.
The only issue is that, yeah, it'd be a $300,000 match, for to receive that capital outlay, but then the cost of the project is going up, so it would, for the project to get done, the cost is going up, tremendously. Yes, sir.
Paul, on this pipe underneath the road, going up by the truck stop.
Yes, sir.
Get a capital outlay on that?
That's all I have that's been approved so far.
So what you're talking about is the, to raise the culverts at the highway, or lower the culverts at the highway. Yes, there's some capital outlay for that, but we have not received a new estimate, cost estimate for that, because the engineer felt that with the, cost of piping had gone up so much that we would never, it really wouldn't, there's not enough money to do that project. So that's why this project would be the only one that we may be able to consider taking on until we find other funding, because that capital outlay is nowhere near enough to even get near that project.
Paul, I have a quick question for you. If this project originally was $800,000, why did we only request $500 from capital outlay?
I can't answer that. I mean, I don't know what we requested. We may have requested more, and that's what they allocated. I'd have to look back at our request, which was prior to my time, because sometimes they don't fund the whole project. They don't fund the whole thing.
And Dr. Rick, I believe, and don't hold me to this because I wasn't the chairman at the time, but I believe there is an agreement between Mr. LaGrange and the Drainage Board that the parish was going to sit there and make up whatever difference there was. That was a different CAO, and it's a different time monetarily for this parish. So, you really can't hold them accountable for that because...
No, I'm not holding you accountable. I'm just asking the question,
Yeah.
I mean,
It's my
if we
understanding...
asked for the entire amount, we would need to fund the project, obviously.
Yes, sir. It was my understanding that the parish had agreed to make up the difference there. That was a different time.
And I guess the next question too, Mr. Paul, would be, what about GOMESA funding or some type of coastal protection funding? Would those not be options since it's a drainage district?
All of our GOMESA funding was bonded back a few years ago to get that $11 million for all the projects we did throughout the parish. So there's no GOMESA, that all has to go to the bonding attorney, the bonding paying agent to pay the bonds as long as we get it. So GOMESA is not really an option. What is the other thing you mentioned?
Coastal protection funding?
I'm not aware that there's that there's money there that I'm aware of at this point. We've got, feelers out there for different things, but I can't say for sure.
And Dr. Rick, having spoke with Senator Alla, he has assured me that there is going to be some money coming in to about $3 million for drainage for St. Mary Parish annually. I don't know if that money has already been allocated toward the Morgan City project this year, but that might be another thing that we're going to reach out to him and try to work with him on that. When you look at the projects that have been done in this parish, Morgan City has gotten a large bump with all the new work they have. I know Amelia's been working really hard on their pump system and everything, and Bayou Vista is kind of what I feel next in line to get some work done. And so I'd like to work with you guys and Senator Alla's office and try to get some of that money allocated toward us to help us with some of these projects.
Sir, Reverend Matthews?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did not want my question to precede Mr. Hill's comments, but if you're okay, I'll go ahead and ask this anyway. So it sounds like from what you just described, Mr. Chad, that allocating this $500,000 that we've been talking about for the last several weeks would be futile at this point, because it's not going to serve the purpose that we know really needs to be implemented to correct this problem.
Yes, sir. It's not enough money. And, you know, when you're talking about allocating those kind of dollars, you want projects that can go instant. You want something that's going to make a difference immediately. And so for this particular project, we still have to find some money to add to that 500,000 to be able to make it work. With something like the jet that Mr. Hill had been talking about, that might be a good use of some of the 500,000 that could make a small difference now, and then you would still have some money that you can allocate towards sewage or whatever else that you can make a difference now. To be able to get 500,000 and say we're going to be able to match that to do what needs to be done, no, sir, I'm not going to be able to do that at this point.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yes, sir.
So, to us and to the administration, and I think I may have alluded to this in my remarks when we met last time at the last meeting, but I'll reiterate because it seems plausible to do so, that there's this big rush and big hurry for the council to agree to allocate $500,000 to the community of Bayou Vista to solve some of the drainage and water and sewer, well, not water, but sewer problems. But we're hearing very clearly that $500,000 to that effort is not going to resolve the issues that have been levied, that people have been talking about all over social media and all over in the public meeting forum that we had a couple weeks ago. And I would hate to see us just rush to make an allocation simply to appease people for a purpose that we know is not going to be achieved. Secondly, even if we allocated that $500,000 tonight, Mr. Gouvernail will clearly tell us, or Ms. Desiree might take the lead in sharing this daunting news, that cash is not available tonight anyway. It'll probably be September or October before there's enough cash available in our parish government coffers to transfer that kind of money to the drainage district or to water and sewer, what is it, 5 and 8. So again, I want our citizens to be very clear about whatever the action is that's going to follow in the rest of the agenda about this $500,000 allocation. We just, we need to be careful that we're not creating false expectations. I'd rather be honest with people than to just appease them by taking action on something that's not going to have any follow through.
Yes, sir. And if I may, that's why I asked for it to be tabled, so I could get these
Certainly.
numbers and give you guys real-time idea of what the cost is, because there's no point in sitting there taking money that can be used, that can help instantly, and putting it while we're waiting for more money. I mean, it's just the way it works, And
I'm very familiar with how it works.
I knew by looking at the numbers that we had that were presented at the last meeting that was going to be nowhere near what the actual cost would be, and I felt that it was important to let the citizens know that this is real-time cost.
Yes.
And this money that I'd love for it to go to drainage. I mean, that's what I do, right? But the reality is, if you gave me that money right now, I'd still be sitting there going, can I have some more?
Correct. I appreciate your honesty. And I was in that meeting in Bayou Vista a few weeks ago, and the folks that were in that room want something to happen now. And I think we need to be honest with them about that. We need to be transparent, and we need to do this in a strategic way. That's all I have, Mr. Hill.
Madam Chair.
Jones?
I put that in the budget, and I think there was a little playing going on here. Whatever that number is that you need, hopefully by the end of this year, we can get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's great.
Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chad. Okay, Mr. Vappy will get you to come up to the gentleman right after him. His is short and sweet.
Clarence Pepe, 100 Cents U, Baldwin, Louisiana. Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. President, and Parish Council members.
God bless you, man.
I am honored and proud to obviously have the most senior citizen in the parish of St. Mary. And she is a resident of the town of Baldwin. And she's not in a nursing home. She lives at her house. She goes and sits out in her yard. You pass by, stop and talk to her, take selfies and send to her son. All of her kids go out of town. And if you don't know her, most of you probably know her son. Her son was a former mayor of Baldwin, Wayne. He was a mayor for 24 years, and he was a clerk 5 years prior to becoming mayor. But I'm just, really honored. She had a 100-year birthday party, and we thought that she would have one like every year. She says, no, I don't want to have another one until I'm 105. So I went to that party, which was last year, and at her grandson's house in Broussard. And this year, she went on and had the 106th party this past Sunday, out in bad weather, the whole deal. But no one's available to drive her here tonight. But she would have been here.
I'm sure.
And you would have enjoyed seeing her.
Sounds like she's doing better than all of us.
She's doing well. That's correct. She's my down the street neighbor. She's Evan's neighbor, and she's former parish president, councilman, Ms. Paul Knockan's neighbor. And I think he'd like to close that. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Oh, you wanted to go? Okay. All right, we'll go to our next guest. Oh, we'll move the item up.
Thirteen A is a resolution congratulating Mrs. Rosemary Salsman Breaux on her 106th birthday. What is y'all wishes?
I'll offer a motion.
So moved by Reverend Matthews, seconded by the council.
Discussion?
You know my name and address, Paul Knockan, 217, Baldwin, Louisiana. Mr. Babbitt said almost everything I was going to say, but I pass her every day. She's about 3 houses from my house. Every day she's sitting in the sunshine. About 3 o'clock in the afternoon, she's sitting in a chair and everything. And her daughter said she loves to go to the casino. She sat in that chair, and one time she fell out the chair, and they had to call the fire department to come pick her up. Right after the fire department picked her up, she wanted to go to the casino. So she's living a dark life, for which I asked the Lord to give me. I signed the contract right now to be 106 years old.
Don't have those kinds of
I'm
contracts.
just 84 years old. That's all I am. So I got quite a few years, and I want to thank the council doing the resolution for me. So I appreciate y'all. Thank y'all for everything y'all been doing for the parish. Hope you're doing a pretty good job. So thank y'all.
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you, Paul.
Thank you, Mr. Paul.
Whereas Mrs. Rosemary Salsman Breaux was born on January 23, 1920, in Donner, Louisiana, moved to Baldwin, Louisiana as a young teenager, and recently celebrated her 106th birthday. And whereas Mrs. Breaux graduated from Franklin High School in 1937 and married Donald Breaux in 1943, And whereas Mr. and Mrs. Breaux spent the next few years in various states and towns traveling with the Army and Shell Oil Company, then settling in Baldwin in 1954, purchasing and operating Breaux's grocery store on Main Street, then relocating to Sherrington Road, renaming it Breaux's Foodland. And whereas Mrs. Breaux devoted most of her life working in the store and helping others, she retired at the age of 94 and now spends her time sitting in her yard, enjoying nature, watching LSU football and baseball, and making occasional trips to Cypress Bayou Casino. Whereas Mrs. Breaux is very thankful to God for her long and blessed life, her family, many friends, and former customers, and whereas the St. Mary Parish Council would like to offer their congratulations to Mrs. Breaux on this milestone in her life, now therefore be it resolved that the St. Mary Parish Council does hereby congratulate and extend their best wishes to Mrs. Breaux, adopted and approved by the St. Mary Parish Council in regular session convened on this, the 28th day of January 2026, approved by Gwendolyn L. Hidalgo, chairperson. Any more discussion? We'll do a roll call on 13A. Reverend Matthews.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ina.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Olanda, he's absent. Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rolfe.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Abear.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Duhon.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Rink.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mrs. Hidalgo.
Yes, ma'am.
We have 10 yeas and 1 absent, and the resolution carries. Thank you.
I want to thank y'all for the time. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Paul. Appreciate you doing that.
Gary Musgrove. Coach.
Good evening, Madam Chairman and Council, Mr. President. I want to thank you all for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I want to speak on behalf and support, Gary Musgrove, and I'm from Forest Hill, Louisiana. My address is 11 Lampton Road, Forest Hill, 71360. But I'm here to speak on behalf and support of Resolution D, presented by Mr. Abear. This is in opposition to carbon capture and sequestration. And I'll be available to answer any questions, but let me just say that I am, by means, no expert. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a geologist. I've never worked in the oil field. I am a farmer. I grow plants. I have a nursery, Chicot Aquifer. I'm sure many of you have been up to Forest Hill and bought plants from us. We have roughly over 300 nurseries up there. Our economic impact from the state of Louisiana is roughly $2.5 billion to the economy. Directly and indirectly, we have a little over 56,000 employees throughout the state. So I have a great impact to the state economy. And that's why I got involved in carbon capture and sequestration. That's why I became so passionately against this. If you don't know what carbon capture and sequestration is, it is the capture of industrial emissions, carbon. It is it's a byproduct. We know it's it's a part of the atmosphere. There's nothing wrong with carbon. Carbon is in the atmosphere. We exhale it. We inhale it. We exhale oxygen. It's fourth grade science. But when industry captures CO2, condenses it to a volatile state, it becomes very dangerous. And if you worked in the oil fields, you know that it's second to hydrogen sulfide, H2S. Very, very dangerous gases. Carbon dioxide, H2O, CO2, can be highly corrosive when mixed with water. It becomes carbonic acid. It's very corrosive to pipes. And as a nursery owner, as a farmer dependent on the only source aquifer that we have that provides drinking water for 15 parishes in central and west Louisiana, I became very concerned. So do many of my colleagues. Many farmers became very concerned with industry pumping industrial waste. That's what it is, industrial waste under the Chicot Aquifer. Getting very concerned because over the years, we're talking decades, Louisiana has become a pincushion of wells. Many are abandoned, many we don't even track. Many were just plugged off in the 30s with a pine stone, but they're still there. The access for carbon dioxide to migrate is still very much in play. Geologists, scientists will tell you we have the perfect capstone, but it's not. We have scientists, and let me say, I'm speaking on behalf of our organization, Save My Louisiana. We have scientists, we have petroleum engineers, we have folks looking at our geology and says it is not going to stay. In fact, I asked some of the scientists, the doctors with LSU that are promoting the technology, can you guarantee that carbon dioxide will stay where it's at and will not affect our aquifer? Then the answer was no. So it is a risk not worth the benefit. And so I have made it my mission in life at this point to present the other side, not just myself. We have hundreds and hundreds, thousands of people all over the state speaking out against carbon capture and sequestration. What we're not speaking out against is industry. I love filling up my truck with gasoline. I love being able to drive my vehicles. I love being able to get in my side-by-side. We're dependent. Come on, the economy is dependent on oil and gas. All right? We're dependent on industry for the products we love. But there is no good for carbon dioxide to be pumped into the ground and take a chance on risking the very water we depend on. Now, the history. They'll tell us that carbon dioxide has been around for 40 years. Well, it may have for EOR, enhanced oil recovery. And if you're in the oil and gas industry, or know anybody in the oil and gas industry, that CO2 is very capable of being injected into old, not so much producing oil fields, pushing the hydrocarbons back to the production platforms, and you're getting more oil out of what was low producing oil well. Well, what happens with that CO2, it says it's recaptured, it's used again, and over and over. We have about a 1,300 mile CO2 pipeline, if you're not aware, that runs right through Louisiana. It comes from the Jackson Dome in Mississippi, runs down Mississippi into Louisiana, and down into Houston. About 1,300 miles. That is for EOR, enhanced oil recovery. Now that pipeline is built around 2007. There's a small section that went from the Jackson Dome to Delhi, North Monroe, for enhanced oil recovery. They added another section about 77 miles, and then finally finished it out all the way to Texas. Now the Jackson Dome is an ancient volcano. It has natural CO2. That's what they're using out in the Premium Basin out in West Texas. What we're talking about is industrial CO2. And industrial CO2, if you scrub it off their emissions, they'll tell you that they're capturing about 95 to 98%. Well, it's the other 5% and the 3%, 2% that we don't know what's in there. Most of it's redacted. A lot of things are redacted when you go to the Natural Resources Office and you start pulling these things out. It's for security. It's for national security. They won't tell you exactly everything's in it and they're laid out. You'll get a report back and it's just black. But CO2 just on itself, it's not worth the risk to be pumped under our aquifer. So why am I here sharing this with you? Because we believe that Louisiana is poised to take over 40% of the nation's CO2. If you've been following the governor's energy plan set for Louisiana, it is mostly designed around carbon dioxide capture. So let's look at, you got Central Parish with Hyundai Steel. Now, we get to industry? No, come do it. You got ammonia blue, the hydrogen plants, LNG, we're not against those things. But what they are taking advantage of is a subsidy from the federal government. It's a IRS tax code subsidy of 45Q. And it pays roughly $85 per metric ton of CO2 capture and sequester. And let me tell you what sequester means. That means they're going to pump it in the ground around 5,000 feet permanently. Never going to come up. It's centuries ahead of us that this stuff will remain in the ground. They get the benefit today, the money up front. It's your tax dollars, our tax dollars. It's just a circle. It goes to industry. Industry does the build out. Builds their corporations. And again, not against corporations, not against what they're doing, but taking advantage of a tax subsidy to pump. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of tons of carbon dioxide under a drinking water. Not to even mention the pipeline build out that's going to be all over the state. Now, Danbury Pipeline, which is now owned by ExxonMobil, the one I told you that goes from the Jackson Dome to Houston, it's not without its safety incidents or its accidents. They've had over 17 leaks since 2011. If you look up Secaucus, Mississippi, you'll see where there was a pipeline break. That was I think an 8-inch pipeline that ruptured. It was due to a landslide, had a heavy rains, it busted, and it sent CO2 to Secaucus, Mississippi, a cloud. CO2 in that form holds to the ground. It's an assistant. It takes the oxygen out the air. You can't breathe. Emergency equipment, fire departments, first responders couldn't even get to the people because it shut their vehicles down. When you're in a CO2 cloud, everything shuts down. The people shut down. Over 40, 50 people went to the hospital. It was cleared up, but these are the risks that comes with this for what? Injecting a natural gas. It kind of goes back to why. And I believe Mark will talk a little bit more about this, but the why is the market that is demanding low carbon products. These low carbon products are being demanded by Europe, by the Asian markets, because of their mandates on greenhouse gases. They've been mandated by their nations to capture carbon, get the emissions down before they can sell or buy products in their countries. And so that's why all this industry is coming to Louisiana, because, as Mark will show you, Louisiana wrote the blueprint for carbon capture and sequestration. I'm telling you, it is dangerous, extremely dangerous. There's a lot of things dangerous. There's a lot of things that come with a risk. But this is not one that we should gamble with. Alan Parish tried to pass an ordinance to keep the CO2 pipeline from their schools. They tried to pass an ordinance. They didn't want the CO2 pipeline coming no closer than 2,500 feet from the school, half a mile away from the school. ExxonMobil threatened to sue them because they did not have primacy. The state has it, and they had to pull back that ordinance. You know what the state law is? 500 feet. If a CO2 pipeline ruptures near a school or a community, you don't have time to evacuate. You can't even get first responders in. And we're talking about millions of tons in these pipelines that's going into the ground over a year. So as a nursery owner, as a father, as a grandfather of 7, I had to speak into some truth to this. Just on the benefit of knowing that I've done something to try and protect the future of our grandchildren. So I'm asking you to please support this resolution. Why do you not? Am I done? Okay. So why I'm asking you to do this is because industry, at some point, it will happen. Industry will come to your parish and they're going to dangle a golden carrot in front of you. They're going to say, here's this multi-billion-dollar plant that's coming to your community. We're going to offer so many jobs and get a tax base. It looks good. Parishes are broke. They need money. I'm hearing tonight. People need money. And but that's going to come with risk. It's going to come with the eminent domain that Mark will talk about. Your property being taken from you without any recourse. You have no recourse. It could be a foreign company and take your property away from you. And our legislators gave them that authority. So when that golden carrot comes before you and says, here's the industry, here's the jobs, let me give you an example from my parish of what has happened. We have an industry. Sun Gas, Beaver Lake Renewables have come to our parish. This is a $2.8 billion build out. It is a biofuels plant. They're going to take seed stock from the forestry industry, wood products, and they're going to convert that into a biofuel, methanol. They will transport it on the Red River, send it out to the Gulf, offshore, and it's going to go to European markets. So here's the carrot. We're going to promise you so many jobs. We're going to promise you a tax base. But as you know, when industry comes in, the first thing the state's going to do is offer them the industrial tax exemption program. And prior to 2016, that was 100% exemption. You got no ad valorem tax. John Bill Edwards changed that in 2016 to 80% ad valorem tax abatement. So you're left with 20% for 10 years. Over what they're going to make over that 10 years is you're stepping over dollars to pick up pennies. Seriously. They promised 109 jobs to us, but this past March, they applied for a jobs out, meaning they come. The state works with these industries to help them build it sell it to the public. Hey, we're going to bring these jobs, 109 jobs, and they're allowed to advertise that even more indirect. Look, 1,500 jobs for construction, temporary, it's gone. What they don't tell you is the state allows them to opt out, so the state doesn't get sued. Because if they hold them to 109 jobs, and then 10 years down the road, there's innovation. Now, innovation comes in, and we really don't need those 109 no more. We can do it with 20. So the state doesn't want to get sued, so they allows them to opt out these jobs. But basically what they're saying is that the industry's coming in, we're going to give you so much in tax base, we're going to give you these jobs, but in reality, you're stuck with nothing. And for us in central Louisiana, not only are we be stuck with this industry that may fold up, we don't know. This is based on methanol. And let me tell you what the Secretary, Mark Rubio, he just made it public. He said the U.S. is not going to be held hostage to the climate agenda, the climate change agenda, the Green New Deal, especially to the Maritime Association, mandating that these fuels be developed low carbon. He said we're not going to be held hostage, is what his word was. We're not going to be held hostage to this. Yet we still have this industry in Louisiana. And that's because I believe the blueprint was built a long time ago to take on this industry because of the tax incentives that we have available to these industries. So I'm cautioning you, it will happen at some point, and it's going to be a big carrot that you're going to have to contend with. But you know, we deal with risk all day long. I mean, we deal with risk when we get in our vehicle. There's no guarantee. We understand this, but this is a risk you're going to have to contend with. Is it worth the pollution of our drinking waters? Look at Lake Marpole. If y'all don't know what's going on with Lake Marpole, go talk to those folks. They want to put 6 injection wells under Lake Marpole. And that area is just riddled with pinholes and previous wells. It will work its way up. It will come up, and it will go into Lake Marpole. It will destroy. There's a gentleman that you can Google search. His name is Hawk Dunlap. He's got a potty mouth, but He's been in the industry for 40 years. He's running for Texas commissioner. Railroad commissioner out in Texas. And he's been dealing with these pipelines. He's been dealing with EOR. Go look at the mess that Texas is dealing with. Look what's happening to their water aquifers. That's why they're wanting to take it out of Toledo Bend, because they're running out of water. They've already polluted their aquifers with salt water coming up. It's just dangerous. And I just thank you for letting me speak with you. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but it took me roughly 6 months to educate myself and said, this is not good for Louisiana. Industry does not have to capture carbon. There is no mandate on the federal level. There is no mandate in Europe. It's just a requirement if you want to sell products in Europe. That's not a requirement here in Louisiana. So industry is taking advantage of the federal subsidies just so they can sell their product at a premium in Europe. I tell you, all the natural gas we got in Louisiana, our electricity bills, would you agree, should be nothing. We should be powering Louisiana with this, not selling it and trying to make a profit off the backs of taxpayers to go supply Europe. That's, I'm not against the industry. I'll just tell you, I'm a registered Republican, voted Republican all my life, and guys, the Republicans gave us this. And that's what's really upsetting about it. So that's all I got to say. Any questions?
I do. I got a couple of questions.
Yes, sir.
What happens, or what kind of guarantee do they give you if they show up on their pipes? What are their risks? What is the term of their risk?
Well, the pipeline, the injection wells that we've been seeing in the permitting is going between 20 and 30 years. The legislators gave a liability cap at 50 years. So when the lobbyists for this industry, carbon capture sequestration, helped write this legislation, because they did, it's obviously, you can see it. When they wrote this legislation, they put liabilities for these industry, these injection operators, to 50 years. Now here's what happens. If you don't sign their contract, they'll take it from you. They'll do eminent domain, and then you have nothing. They take it from you. It's not yours. It's not forcing you into forcing you into their contract. They own your land. It is taken from you if you don't allow for either the CO2 injection plume, and an injection plume, it could be anywhere from 15 to 40,000 acres. Depends on the well size, what they get permitted for. But between 15 and 40,000 acres, that plume, that pore space, where that CO2 is injecting, it belongs to you. Y'all know in Louisiana, we own from the center to infinite blue sky. That's our property. If it's on our property, that's ours. We own it. But if they want to run a pipeline, or if they want to put a CO2 injection well on your property, your neighbor's property, and you don't want a contract, you say, I don't want this stuff on my property, you got no recourse. None. They will take your property. Mark will go over that with you. They will take your property from you. So to answer what it is, the contracts can go out to 20 to 30 years.
So at the end of 50 years,
when
their liabilities are, who
winds
winds up with the liability?
You do. You're the landowner. The state washes their hands on it. Then your kids, your grandkids are dealt with this. And I promise you, when I looked at Dr. Greb Upton, you don't know who he is. He's a doctor at LSU who kind of spearheaded the CO2 carbon capture sequestration here in Louisiana, along with the scientists and the geologists and economics professors from LSU. They came to our parish, and I asked Dr. Upton, I said, can you guarantee that this will not contaminate our aquifer? Can you guarantee it won't leak? There's no guarantee. I don't understand why they want to do this. It's just flip oil and gas upside down. We haven't even talked, guys, we haven't even talked about liabilities, your insurance rate. You know when this stuff gets injected onto your property, if your property gets injected, or the CO2 gas line goes through your property. I haven't even talked about interest rates. Insurance. And we're paying the highest insurance rates in the country right now. Now imagine you got a CO2 plume under your property. Not only do you have that liability, but it comes with an industrial waste certificate. Can you believe it? Just every time I think about this, what the legislators did to us, they're forcing this on us. If you don't agree to their contract, they'll take your land from you. Then they're going to inject industrial waste under your property and give you the certificate and says, okay, there it is. So when you get ready to sell your property, if you want to sell your property, you got to disclose you got hazardous waste under your property. You don't have oil and gas. Look how valuable oil and gas is. You can keep your mineral rights even after you sell your property. It's just, I don't want to use that word, but it is. And there's one more thing, that if this plume's under your property and you think you have oil and gas under your property, there's not an oil and gas company that's going to come drill through a CO2 plume. So now your mineral rights are stranded. It's just not good. You know the question?
That was my next question. What happens to the rest of my mineral rights?
You're stranded. There's not. We've talked to me. I asked, talked to him about myself. If we got this, he said, do not. Don't stop. You got to stop it in Louisiana. Do not let CO2 be done in your state. Well, the governor will say, if we don't do it, they're going to send it to Texas and Mississippi. No, they're not. They don't want it. Don't look what's happened in the Permian Basin. I mean, they're property owners, right? Property owners, landowners. I'm not talking about corporations. Landowners. Go look what they're having to deal with out in West Texas. I mean, it's horrible what's happening. But everybody saw the instant money that they were making in the beginning, and now they're paying the consequences because they're 1,800 years, behind, and they've been over there doing this for a long time, and now it's catching up to them. So, yes, if you got a CO2 plume under your property, I've talked to the oil and gas companies. They're not going to come drill through that. It is too dangerous. This stuff it's in there. To condense it to the volatile state, let me put it to you this way. A can of Coke has CO2, but that's food grade CO2. Food grade CO2 is different than the CO2 that is being injected under your ground. And a can of Coke has roughly 2 to 3 grams of CO2. You shake it up, go shoot it with a 22, watch what happens. It'll blow up. All right? This CO2 is being pressurized at about 2,400 PSI in this pipe. 8-inch pipe, 36-inch pipe, 24-inch pipe. We have seen from Princeton University, we have seen reports where they're projecting 3 48-inch pipes on the west side, on the east side of Texas, and 2 48-inch pipes on the west side, not Texas, Louisiana, on the west side of Louisiana. Why are these 48-inch pipes coming? Well, up in the Midwest, they have ethanol plants. The corn plant. They grow the corn, ethanol. Now they've realized that they can capture the CO2 and get the 45Q tax credit from the government. So now they're converting a lot of that. And now they're wanting to push this stuff here. That's why I say Louisiana has just opened the door. They wrote the legislation to let it happen. They opened the door. That's why you're seeing all this industry. The $71 billion economic package that Governor Landry's talking about. A lot of this is carbon capture. AI data centers, they're popping up. But what are they popping up without? Electrical generation. Where are they getting the power for these data centers? Well, they're going to build electrical power plants. Many of them are going to run off the LNG that we have, which we should be running our own power plants. And that's a whole nother ballgame. But anyhow, they're going to still qualify for that 45Q tax credit if they capture the carbon, and they will. They have, right now there's 32 projects with roughly 104 projected injection wells just for Louisiana. And most of that's going to go into the Chicot Aquifer. When Governor Landry signed that moratorium, if you're not aware of, he signed a moratorium on any future carbon capture and sequestration projects. It didn't stop at 32 projects. It was 33. One company pulled out. It's 32 now, about 104 injection wells. Guys, once that moratorium lifts, we're talking 300 applications waiting right now to come into Louisiana for injection wells. It's just mind-blowing. I'm asking you, for your grandchildren, approve this resolution. It's not, you're not passing a law. It's just a resolution that says you reflect that until industry, until the government can prove that this is safe and reliable with guarantees, then we don't want it. That's all I can say. Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Reverend Matthews?
Oh, I'd like to move up item 13D. You don't mind?
I would like if we would, though, to entertain Colonel Mark.
I'm ready to vote.
But not only for us, but and let me give you a quick background what happened. I was abreast of a meeting they were having in Thibodeau, 2 weeks ago, I guess it was? A couple of weeks ago. I got an email, and when I seen the carbon capture, I was highly interested in it. And I was very interested in it for our parish. Because I'm also on the Louisiana Police Jury Association on the executive board, and I went to a function in December. It was mixed emotions of what was going on. Some was for it, some was against it. I didn't know nothing about it. So I said, heck, I want to get educated on it. Some of them's telling me, hey, they're going to come and offer us 10, 15, $20 million a year that our parish would be collecting, right? So I was then interested in going find out what's this all about. We could use $20 million in this parish.
Get it tomorrow.
So I get the email, and what caught my attention was that, and then also the intimate domain. And I'm thinking, what the heck is that all about? I don't know too much about that. I want to go find out how we can exclude from that intimate domain. So I sent a text to a couple of the councilmen, and Rodney replied back, and he says, I don't really feel like going. I said, I'm going. A little while later, he called me back. He said, I'll ride with you. So we went, and the whole way riding to Thibodeau. We talking about, man, the great projects we could do with all this money, right? And so we already kind of figuring out how we're going to spend all this money we fixing to get. We get to the meeting, and these two guys plus another one was talking, and about halfway through it, I looked at Rodney. He looked at me. He says, what you think? I said, man, we got a problem. I didn't come here for this. I'm sorry I heard this, but I'm grateful I heard it. Because I'm going to tell you, man, I got 17 grandbabies with more on the way. And, you know, this stuff scared me enough before I left. I went from excited about having it to I want a copy of the resolution. And just so happened 2 weeks ago, Iberia Parish passed the resolution, the same resolution against it, in President Larry Richard. It adamantly told me, you got to be against this. You got to be. And I said, hold on, man, hold on. Y'all got all kind of industry in Iberia. We struggling with some extra money. He said, I don't care about the money. I'm telling you when you find out the truth of this. And nobody can really tell me the truth about it. So I went and sat in that meeting for a couple of hours and took a lot of notes, and I got the copy of the recording. I had it forwarded to all the council members so y'all could be abreast of what was going on. And it scared the hell out of me enough to say, I want this resolution on this agenda.
It did me too.
You know, and I was grateful enough to reach out to these guys, and look, short notice, he called me this morning, and they flew in just to be here tonight to explain this because of the severity of this. You know, so it's a scary thing. And we got two honorable gentlemen here that both served our military. You know, so they're not here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is there any money in it for you guys? Good.
You will. Let me say this. You will see, because we're on target. We are on target. We are right in this. You see industry now tapping into a conservative media network or conservative outlets. We just had an article written up against us in the Hayride of all publications that we are leftist, liberal, George Soros funded group. I mean, it just blows my mind. No, guys, It's not. This is common sense. This has nothing to do with party. This has to do with right and wrong. And I'm telling you, it's wrong. It's being pushed down our throats fast and heavy. It's coming from the top. It's coming from Baton Rouge. And it's coming from industry. We're not against industry. We're just against this carbon capture. Listen, even carbon capture, if they want to capture carbon, there's many products used with carbon dioxide. Fertilizer, there's many aspects for it. But to say, oh, we got to inject it under the ground, we got to take this little gas, and then I say little, do you know how much carbon dioxide makes up of the atmosphere that we're breathing right now? It's going to blow you away. Blew me away.
If I'm in order, can we hear Mark's presentation now?
Yeah, but let me tell
And
you.
Mark, keep in mind, Gary's already used both of your time.
I know, but it's 0.4% of the atmosphere. You can look that up yourself, 0.4%. And mankind's contribution to that is 11% of the 0.04%, correct, 0.04%. That's how much carbon dioxide. But yet, it's enough to turn God's creation green and give us oxygen and breathe. Just leave it where it's at. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary.
Mr. Mark Guillory.
Madam Chair, thank you for having us here and letting us talk to you. Mr. President, thank you. And obviously, all the council members. My name is Colonel Retired Mark Guillory. I'm up from Pineville, Louisiana. So we are your cousins to the north, and you probably have heard a lot about why we're here, and this is why we're here. I want to also, you can't see this from up there, or at least I wouldn't be able to, but I'm going to pass this around so you just take a look at this. And if you look right down there, St. Mary Parish is in this little brown area. What's in that brown area? That brown area is the Chicot Aquifer. It produces 48% of the underground drinking water for Louisiana. That same aquifer you're getting your water out of, I'm getting mine out of. So we're just not your cousins from the north who are trying to bring a problem to you. It's your problem too. And when this stuff goes in the ground, we don't know where it's going to go. He talked about Dr. Greg Upton. Recently, I was on a flight coming back earlier this weekend, or this past weekend. I was reading through one of his papers, and he was talking about what we're going to need to do in order to make carbon capture and the sequestration part, how we're going to make it work. And he talks about the fact that when we put it in the ground, we don't know where it's going to go. You can sort of model, we're not really sure. It's going to move. In his document that he wrote, he said it's going to move. And because of that, we're going to have to do some things with the law in order to make it work. So those are some things I want to talk to you about for sure. Gary said that we're pro-industry. He's absolutely right. You're looking at a kid whose daddy worked offshore with Penrod Drilling Company, some of you remember what that is, Ensco, 30 years. That helped clothe me and feed me and educate me and get me to the opportunities that I was able to pursue, which were my dreams. So oil and gas industry, of all the industries and the things that we've come up with as human beings, that's one of the absolute best. It has brought more people out of poverty than lots of other things have of technologies that we've come up with as human beings. It's pretty incredible. We are not anti-oil and gas, I can promise you. But what we are interested in is that industry and the environment can absolutely coexist. It can. And industry and government obviously can coexist. And industry and our rights can coexist. Our rights to life, to liberty, and to property. And that's one of the things that Gary was talking about. And I'm going to give you a lot bigger explanation of that. He talked about EOR. He talked about this is not an anti-EOR thing. EOR, as pointed out, is pure CO2, same CO2 you breathe in right now. And that's pushed in there to cool up some oils and get some more out of these reservoirs we have. We like that idea. It's a good idea. But that CO2 they put in there, most of that's pulled out and used again. This CO2 they're talking about, as he said, is captured from industry and is sequestered. That means permanently stored in the ground. The question is why? We talked about the CO2 being 0.4% of the atmosphere. It is the cycle of life. CO2 helps things turn green. CO2 makes our earth green. It helps us to be able to breathe and to live. You compress it at 2,000 plus pounds and you put it in a pipeline and then you shove it in the ground with some extra goodies in there, now you got some problems. When it goes to that aquifer picture that I'm sharing with all of you that you're taking a look at, that's our aquifer. It's yours and it's mine. And if this pipe, and as you push the CO2 down through that aquifer to get to the storage areas, and if any of those pipes begin to leak, then we've got carbonic acid on our hands, all of us, because it's all of our aquifer. Now, I'm all about economic development. We need it. But you know what I'm not after? I'm not after destroying the only water source that all of us have. What good is my property value going to be when the water is carbonic acid? You can't grow anything, but guess what you can't do? You can't drink it. Our families can't live here anymore. Our property values will be worthless because who's going to buy that? So it becomes something very important for all of us to think about. Well, how do we end up where we are? What happened? There is a thing called eminent domain, and it does exist. Eminent domain is an inherently governmental power. You all know that. What do we use eminent domain for? Eminent domain is used for things that are considered utilities. If I need to put up a power line, I have the authority. I have the authority, or the government would have the authority to determine, based on what is public purpose and public necessity, by the judicial branch will make that decision. And then that property that would be taken, then the owner will have to be fully compensated to the full extent of his loss. The Constitution is where we start with all this. Louisiana's Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, is one of the strongest property rights protections across the country. It's really good. It digs into, if the government really thinks that it wants some land, it's got to really, really, really want it. And even then, a jury of our peers gets to decide. And the whole other branch gets to decide. The judicial branch decides whether it's public purpose, whether it's necessary, and whether it can be taken. That protects all of our rights to own the property that we have. We like it, and we want to keep it that way. But when LSU took a look at this and said these plumes are going to go all over the place, that's going to be some property rights problems, and we've got to find some ways to fix that. So they came up with this idea of unitization. Now, you're all familiar with unitization, right? So there are two things. There's pooling and there's unitization. Pooling is about how many wells can you put over a reservoir so that you don't overtap the reservoir. But unitization is deciding that you're going to take several pieces of property and put them into one unit. The now Secretary of the Conservation of Energy has the authority to unitize a mineral area. So if you've got 10 acres and you've got 100 and I've got 20 and she's got 5 right in the middle, well, if they put the well on your land, she's going to get paid. Unitization. Because the reservoir is under her property too. This is a good thing. The commodity that comes out, everyone gets to share, and the cost to do the wells, it all comes out of money, but they get paid to do it. What CCS is doing is turning the entire unitization idea upside down. So before, she could still own her property rights and own all of her land. But now, if all of us decide that we want to have CCS, carbon dioxide sequestered under our ground, and she doesn't, guess what? If we all agree, if 75% or now 85% of people agree, too bad. That means we're taking her land away from her. She owns the surface and all the subsurface. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't want to be that guy who someone comes to me and says, I know you don't like this, but too bad the rest of us decided it's all right, so we're going to take it from you. Do you know our Constitution protected us from that very kind of thing trying to happen? And we need to preserve that Constitution. We have the right to own and control our property. Article 1, Section 4. The legislature does not have the authority to give anyone special privilege. Now, I said that eminent domain is a real thing. Yes, it is. In Title 19, the legislature lays out for us everything that can be taken under the power of eminent domain. And all of those things are the same. They're all utilities. When it comes to carbon, it is not a utility. You can't tap into it and use it. Neither can I. But you're going to give them authority to take that land? That's not a public purpose. And it's certainly not necessary. And the judicial needs to make the decision. The legislature doesn't have the authority to make the decision. We talked earlier about what the limits are. My friend, they didn't just decide that in 50 years they would no longer have any liability. They gave them immunity. They're literally immune. This violates Article 3, Section 23. Clearly, the legislature is prohibited from providing any special laws, which is giving us private companies like CCS the power of eminent domain, and it specifically says they are prohibited from giving anyone immunity. So why would we do this? We did it because when men and women like you hear about this, and you hear the other side of the story, which is we're trying to provide you messengers to give you the other side of the story. And now you have to think about it, and you have to decide that, well, maybe this is not such a good idea. Special laws for special people, not the way we want to run our republic. I'm rather certain. I would imagine that all of you would agree with that as well. So,
Thank y'all for your presentation. I've been following this for a few years now, listening to a radio station on Lafayette, a talk show, and they was talking about this, and some people calling it how good it was, but then when the citizens got involved, it's like, I can see how that could benefit anybody. I see a lot more danger in it than what's going to happen. It sounds like it's a scam, kind of like the solar panels. You don't see no more solar panel commercials on TV.
or windmills?
Yeah, windmill. You don't see them on TV no more. All the government subsidies ran out, so they all shut up. Some of them even filed bankruptcy already. I got some calls in Morgan City about they went belly up. People with solar panels on their house can't use them no more.
One other comment, and I want the council and the public to understand, even this resolution that we pass, at the end of the day, really means absolutely nothing. Because they could still walk in tomorrow and tell our parish president what they're going to do, whether we like it or not. Is that accurate?
That's completely accurate. So under Title 19, legis.la.gov, obviously y'all probably know where to find that. In Title 19, paragraph 10 and 11 gives private CCS industries the authority of eminent domain. If they show up to you and they want to drill an injection well there, or they want to put some of the plume down there, and they ask you to sign a lease, your answer is, I've heard about this, I'm not interested in it, I don't want to do it. Their next response is, well, you can take the money we're offering you, or we're going to take your land to do it anyway. How do we know that? We know that because we're currently suing the state, by the way, for the unconstitutionality of these laws. It is not a request for damages. We're suing against the laws in Title 19, 10 and 11, and in Title 30, 1108, 1104 Decibel 2, which is, 1104 Decibel 2, which is a unitization piece. We're suing against all those because those violate the Constitution of Louisiana that says we have the right to own and control our property. So they can show up right now under the law and say, buddy, you got to hand it over. And if you don't, we'll take it. And by the way, the law says we can. So you're very much in danger.
So in that case, Madam Chair, I'd like to move up item 13B and offer that motion at this time.
And I'll second it.
All right, Reverend Matthews, second by Mr. Adams.
The resolution opposing carbon capture and sequestration in the St. Mary Parish.
May I say one thing, Madam Chair? I I 100% agree with you with the Constitution. How in the world did they do that?
That's a very good question. We have talked to, so this actually all started in 2008-9. And the legislature at that point passed some laws that declared carbon capture and sequestration as a public purpose and for a public good. And they don't have the authority to do that, as I just said. The law is very clear. If you're going to start taking land away, that has to be a judicial decision. So they began to build this process over those few years. In 2020, and what eventually became Act 61, is when the legislature gave the carbon capture industry the authority of eminent domain. We've talked to legislators who did not know what was in the bill. They didn't read it. They had no idea. Now, some of them have said that was a mistake. Okay, well, it's time to do something about the mistake. But they didn't know. Well, that alone is a problem. I certainly hope that all of you have read resolutions and ordinances before you pass them. You know what's in them, the implications, and you talk amongst yourselves and debate them and you bat it around, because that's what it's a part. But don't show up and vote for something you didn't read it. So that's how it happened. What was going on in 2020?
COVID.
What else?
Government shut down.
What else? What's that? That big old presidential election going on that wasn't a big deal at all. And then what else? We had riots going on all across the country. The country was in chaos. And yet our legislature passed this massive bill that, did you even pay attention to what was in it? That's how it happens. Reading's an awesome thing.
It was passed with bipartisan support.
Absolutely. Most of them were Republicans. That's why one reason we're upset, party affiliation, we're upset about that. But regardless of your party affiliation, Democrats and Republicans and independents and those who don't do either, all of us drink the water.
Well,
and none of us want our property taken away.
It's further evidence that brains and integrity don't have a party.
Well, let me tell you something. One of the things that upsets me about it is you're exactly right. But for those who said they didn't read it and still voted for it, that's just negligent. And then some say, oh, I read it, but I really didn't understand it, and then you still voted for it. That's incompetence. And then if you understood it, you read it and you understood it, and you voted for it, that's something entirely different.
That's a lack of integrity.
Right, and you certainly don't understand the oath that you took. All of you took that oath. That oath is to the Constitution of Louisiana as well. And you have an obligation. Every time you pass an ordinance, you have to think to yourself, does this violate the basis of how our government was built? And this violates one of the basic rights of property. Why is property important? It's our generational wealth.
I had the chair.
Do a vote.
Question.
Do a vote.
Madam Chair.
There's a motion and a second on the floor,
Who
and
did
I
the
called
second?
I did.
Okay.
Dean Adams did, and I
didn't
called
hear
the
it.
question.
I didn't hear it. Okay, so we're going to vote to call the question. First vote.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Now we have the original motion on the floor, first and a second. For 13D, Mr. Ina.
Ma'am.
Mr. Olander, he's absent. Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rolfe.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Abear.
Absolutely, yes.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Duhorn.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Rink. Mrs. Hidalgo. Reverend Matthews.
Unequivocally, yes.
We have 10 yeas and 1 absent, and the resolution carries. Thank you.
Thank all of you very much, and I hope that you continue to look into it, because this is going to come back around.
Safe travels home.
Thank you. Okay, item 8, report from our parish president, Mr. Sam Jones.
I have nothing today.
Okay, item 9, report from personnel. Mr. Paul Gouvernail, our CAO.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You've all received a copy of my report. A couple of things, all the quarterly reports from different departments are attached for your review. There's one resolution on tonight's agenda to consider increasing the garbage rate to the residents, only based on what the garbage rates went up for us through Pelican. It's $1.18 a month, which is a 5% increase, which is what Pelican went up to the parish. So we just want to pass that along. Everything else is informational if you have any questions.
Paul?
Randy, is everything in order?
It is.
I'm gonna, Patrick, you need to exclude 2.
2.
If you're gonna make a motion for approving, 2A needs to be left out.
Can we do all these separate? These, because some of them I got some questions about. And I don't want all a no vote.
Sure.
Okay, I'm not reading all this, but 9A, 1A is a recommend specific use for Wilson Ferguson Jr.
I'll offer a motion to accept that.
A second.
Motion by Reverend Matthews, second by Mr. Abear. Any discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Is this the one where a bunch of signatures was against it and why they were against it? Didn't they have some,
Yes, sir. They did have a petition
okay.
for this one, just because they wanted to keep the area residential.
Is the church gonna be in the neighborhood?
It will be.
What it boils down to is one pastor doesn't want another pastor in her neighborhood. Period. As far as I'm concerned, they need to have a church on every corner in the world we're living in today. Maybe the majority of the people are following the doors of one of them.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
I'll abstain.
I'm gonna abstain.
How many is that? 3?
3.
Okay.
I'm sorry, who abstained? I couldn't hear.
Les Rolfe, Dr. Rink, and Mr. Adams. Motion carries. I know you need. Okay, next is 2A that was recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission at their January 20th meeting, denied rezoning for Donna Rogers.
I so move.
Motion by Mr. Abear. Have a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carries. Item 2B.
Next, we have secession of Cary. This is a recommended preliminary and final subdivision development approval for secession of Cary and Charlotte Landry.
So move.
Motion by Ms. Abear, second by Dr. Rink. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have recommend preliminary and final subdivision development approval for Domino Estates, ETAL DE7.
I'll move on that.
Second.
By Mr. Duhorn, second by Mr. Adams. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Next, we have recommend specific use for Freddie DeCourt.
Offer a motion to approve.
Motion by Reverend Matthews, second by Mr. Abear. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And report of council meetings. A, public hearing report, January 14, 2026, 5:45 p.m. And B is public hearing report, January 14, 2026, 5:50.
Enter into record.
Motion by Reverend Matthews, second by Mr. Abear. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 11, report of meetings other than council meetings. Item 12, introduction of ordinances.
Okay, 12A is for introduction and ordinance in compliance with ordinance number 1973, divisions 5.4, general procedures for public hearings, sections 5.4.3, specific use permits granting a specific use for Wilson Ferguson Jr.
Also move.
Gonna read all of them, or?
Oh, I can if y'all want me to. Okay, but she already said it, so we'll go ahead and say so moved by Dr. Rink. Okay?
Stay there.
No, we don't need a second.
Yeah, you just
This is
introduced
introduction
it.
only.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Okay, 12B is for introduction is an ordinance declaring multiple tax adjudicated properties as surplus property and authorize the parish to receive with the process for advertising the sale of the such adjudicated properties. C is for introduction is a ordinance in compliance with ordinance number 1973, divisions 5.4, general procedures for public hearings, sections 5.4.3, specific use permits granting a specific use.
So introduced.
So moved by Reverend Matthews for 12 B and C. Next, we have under resolutions, 13B is a resolution of respect and memory of Honorable Cedric LaFleur. Mr. Adams?
So moved.
So moved, seconded by the council. Any discussion?
I have a couple words. I had the honor of working at the fire department while Mr. Cedric was mayor. He was the mayor kind of at the wrong era when the city went basically bust with the oil field. Tax revenues was down. We had layoffs. We had pay cuts and all that. But he battled through it. He was a guy who showed up in the morning at 7 every morning. Didn't leave till 5 o'clock. He's the only mayor that I would see at City Hall that ever did that. He was always worked, looking tirelessly for the city. And be sadly missed by a lot of people.
This is on item 13B. Mr. Olander, he's absent. Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rolfe. Mr. Abear.
Ma'am.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Duhon.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Rink.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Hidalgo.
Yes, ma'am.
Reverend Matthews.
Yes, ma'am.
And Mr. Ina.
Yes, ma'am.
We have 10 yeas and 1 absence, and the resolution carries. Thank you. Okay, would y'all like me to read C, E, and F together, or separate C? Ready? Okay, great. C is a resolution authorizing and setting the monthly garbage collection service charge for each residence within the unincorporated areas of St. Mary Parish. E is a resolution approving and authorizing the president to execute an amendment to the owner-engineer agreement with Miller Engineers and Associates Incorporated relative to the renovations to the Quintana Canal Boat Launch Project Phase 2. And F is a resolution approving and authorizing the parish president to execute a contract with Frisco Industrial Contractors, LLC, relative to the renovations to the Quintana Canal Boat Launch Phase 2 in Silvermark Point. What is your wishes?
So moved.
By Reverend Matthews, second by Mr. Abear. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Thank you. This is on items 13C, E, and F. Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Rolfe.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Abear.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Duhon.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Rink.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Hidalgo.
Yes, ma'am.
Reverend Matthews.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ina. And Mr. Olander, he's absent. We have 10 yeas and 1 absent, and it carries. Thank you.
That's one point.
Old business.
14, old business. A is discussion and action relative to the amendments to the St. Mary Parish Personnel Manual that were recommended at a previous council meeting. Reverend Matthews.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Madam Chair, I'm going to keep my comments very brief. Well, I'll try. Depends on the feedback. But particularly tonight, I want to just go back and revisit first and foremost the fact that we discussed this at great length over an extended course of time, and were, I thought, all in agreement that there was some work, some additional work that needed to go into the revision of some of these policies or some sections of this policy manual. But tonight, particularly, I want to zero in on the section that focuses on employee concerns, section 10, Concerns, Discipline, and Appeals, primarily because that particular section was of, I think, the most controversy, because in its current form, the manual or the policies governing concerns, discipline, and appeals does not provide an adequate outlet for particularly subordinate employees to air any potential grievances that they may have, particularly against their supervisors and the administration. And that is, in my opinion, that's an unfair labor practice. And I've said it before, I think we're veering on a very slippery slope by not allowing subordinate employees an appropriate avenue to air out grievances that they may have, particularly with their immediate supervisors and or management. And we discussed that again at great length, and I thought there was a consensus in the room, in the chamber, that particularly that section was going to be reworked. There were a plethora of comments and input from subordinate employees and department heads alike. And to date, I know that there have been multiple personnel issues that have arisen over the course of the last 2 years that this administration has been in place, and this elected body has taken the oath of office. And I firmly believe that in the absence of a fair and equitable grievance procedure, those employees are not being their concerns are not being fairly addressed. One thing at a minimum that should happen, in my opinion, from experience as a seasoned administrator, is that the personnel board should have the latitude to hear employee concerns, issues, grievances, and complaints, and determine whether or not they're going to rule on it, or whether or not it's a matter that deserves a fair hearing. Since the terminology that is used in the manual is a hearing. And there is verbiage that specifically tells an employee that one person, the director of personnel, gets to decide whether or not their grievance is heard by the personnel board. That, in my opinion, is insane. I would not work for a corporation or an entity that violates my human rights and my rights as an employee in such a way. I would not subject, as an administrator, anyone to work for me under those conditions. I've had employees file grievances against me because they felt that they had a right to do so, and their concerns or complaints against me as an administrator were valid. And it's not up to me to decide that their complaints or concerns are not valid. There has to be another unbiased body that determines that. And so those, when the complaint is against me, or even if it's against a subordinate employee, a subordinate supervisor to me, if the ruling that I make is not sufficient or satisfactory to that employee, they have another outlet that can bypass me as the CEO, and it goes to the board of directors. And in the absence of that, this process is unfair. And it's again, in my professional opinion, it is a violation of their rights as an employee in the state of Louisiana and in the United States of America. And for us to accept anything less than that, shame on us. We're doing the employees that we say we value a disservice. And today, as of today, this policy still remains, as far as I know, in the same stance. And I have other areas that I'm concerned about, but tonight, that particular one, I think needs to be resolved immediately. And I said it 10 or 12 months ago. And I'm appalled that it still has not been resolved.
Madam Chair, can I say something? The policy was adopted back in April of '24, I believe. When this came to light, these comments, there were 55 notes that were made by a single employee of the parish. We formed a little committee. People that had written the original policy went through every comment and responded amongst ourselves and did not feel that there was a change that needed to be made to anything in the policy. Now, with that being said, we've been operating under this policy for almost 2 years now. I've had one request to go before the personnel board. And the request was because an employee was denied a raise in pay, which this employee had gotten a raise in pay less than a year ago. And we had not been given raises in pay for merit only. The only raises in pay we were giving was after a person completed a probationary period, or if they took on additional duties and responsibilities, changed their position, or if they achieved some kind of credential that was of benefit to the parish, then we would consider a raise in pay. We were not given any merit raises because of the financial position we were in. And as far as I know, that was the only thing that was requested to go before the personnel board and our personnel director. And it's not one of the things in the policy that they can go to the personnel board for. So as far as you're saying there's multiple problems or people requesting, I don't know. Me and the personnel director are not aware of that.
So, I'm sorry, if I could just, before you move, Ms. Stein, if I could respond to that. So, Mr. Paul, I'm not making reference to that specific matter or issue. But again, could it be safe to presume that perhaps other requests that could have been made by employees for things they didn't feel, in instances they didn't feel they were treated fairly, or decisions were made that adversely affected them, could they have been discouraged from coming forward because of the way the policy is written?
I mean,
it clearly says
there's no way for us to know
that if it's not right, you're not going to know, because people are going to be reluctant to come forward, because this says if it doesn't fit this category, don't even bring it to me. That would discourage me. So I hear what you're saying, but I don't believe that is a sufficient reason to ignore the fact that the policy in its current state leaves a lot to be desired. Also, as it relates to the personnel director being the sole person that has the discretion to determine whether or not an employee's complaint, issue, or concern or some form of discipline warrants or is valid to be escalated beyond her attention or her purview is simply not the best fit, particularly for a public agency. Because I believe that we open ourselves up to possible litigation by denying an employee that opportunity to due process. And I use that phrase when this conversation first evolved, that this, in my opinion, denies employees due process. I don't know if anybody up here has ever been in a situation like that as an employee that's already subject to authorities in which you have no power, you have no way to assert yourself. And I'm not suggesting that the administration that you or the president or any of the supervisors that you employ would do something egregious to someone. I'm not suggesting that at all, because I believe we've worked together long enough for me to have confidence that those are not the kind of people that I work with. But my point remains that in the absence of an appropriate policy, that is the appearance that it creates. And I'm concerned about the appearance of our local government to the people that we employ. That's my concern.
Dinah, you had something?
Yeah, I just want to say, just to kind of cut across the field, I have gotten numerous phone calls from employees with issues time, and some of the complaints or concerns I thought were not valid, but some were. And I just feel like the majority of the conversations were, but they're not going to do anything about it anymore. I can't get it here, and I don't bring them to, because just to be straight, when I bring we've had conversations, and then the conversation is, well, just tell us, we have an open door. Just tell us to come talk. But everybody doesn't feel comfortable to come and talk to somebody that they have a complaint against. So I think I agree with Reverend Matthews. There should be an avenue for an employee, whether it has merit or not, to be able to have their issue heard by somebody that's impartial, doesn't work for the government, and to be seen. I feel like that we have a personnel board that we put in place. I trust the people that have been put on that board to make good decisions. So I don't see there any type of, what would be the detriment to allow that type of due process for an employee to be able to send it there?
I mean, the policy is restrictive to what can go before the board. But I think that if we knew as administration, we could handle a lot of these things. You know, I'm not aware that there are a lot, and I've heard, we've had this conversation before.
Right.
But I mean, if we would at least know, you know, what the issue is, or the perceived issue on the employee's part, to give administration a fair chance to respond. I mean, the employee may not know all the details, may not know, you know, exactly what's going on. And I feel if an employee feels wronged or is not being treated right, then I need to know.
Right, and I agree with you on that. So what if the employee brings that to you and they state their case and they feel strongly that they've been wronged, and the way our current system is set up, it's denied to go further, then it kind of dies right there. But what if that person or that employee, because we're talking about morale,
Sure.
and I don't think it would be any added burden to the administration, because we have a board that would hear it. So once it got to your office and you had a chance to look at it and make an assessment of it, and you determine that, well, I don't think this has merit, then it goes to the personnel board. They'll figure it out, and they'll say that. But I think that's a system of checks and balances that would be good, in my opinion.
You know, I mean, I value our employees. I mean, I think they're our biggest asset.
Absolutely,
You know,
100%.
I have fought to keep everything in place for the employees. With all these cuts going on, you know, I've tried to think of them first. So I just don't agree that we need to change the policy at this time. But I wish an employee would come to us with things.
What if they don't, just to be direct, what if they feel like they don't trust the administration?
Well,
what if they don't feel like they trust the
Then I
people?
guess they need to work somewhere else. I mean, I don't know what else to tell you.
Let me can I frame that question in a different way? What if an employee issue, I'm trying to use the right verbiage, concern, issue, discipline, and/or appeal is related to the relationship with you and/or the personnel director, and an employee just does not feel confident that the issue, concern, complaint, or whatever the case may be, is going to be properly vetted without there being a fair hearing outside of the people that they have the issue with.
I mean, they do have supervisors, they have directors they can go to, they have other people before it comes to us. So if they have a problem with all these people that are in charge, then, you know, I question what the problem is. I mean, and we can sit here all night for what ifs. And I'm sorry some people feel that way. But I think they have the channels to go through, and there's going to be somebody who's going to, if it's a valid concern, would bring it to us.
One other thing.
Yes, sir.
Going back to your your scenario where you pointed out there was something about a raise or merit increase that may have been denied, I think is what I heard you say. When there is a decision to be made about a change in the rate of pay for a subordinate employee, if I remember correctly, I believe the current policy in its current format states that the personnel director makes that decision. Am I right?
Actually, it's me.
You make that decision.
I make the final decision, yes, based on evaluations, feedback from supervisors, feedback from directors, feedback from people who are actually out in the field.
So there's a number of factors that weigh into that decision.
And I'm gonna tell you, there are some deserving employees out there who should be given merit raises.
Just don't have the money.
I just don't have the money right now.
I can finish that statement for you.
And I feel bad about some of that.
Right.
So, we try to be fair with everybody.
I just have one specific. Somebody makes a comment or a joke that somebody may not think is funny.
You mean
It's a matter of an opinion, off-color joke. For instance, and say somebody would use the term, we have a conversation and somebody says, "Oh boy, sit down," or "Oh boy, be quiet." And that goes, and I'm just saying, this is what I've heard before. Just a type of an example. Somebody says, "Oh boy, be quiet." Now, somebody may not think that there's anything wrong with that. I think it's a matter of an opinion, but some people may feel offended by that term or feel about that. So when we get to somewhere in that particular incident, or that it gets to as far as it could go, and there's a determination made based, because that might be a cultural thing. You never know.
Sure, absolutely.
And there's a disagreement that, well, I didn't think it was funny. And I feel like it was offensive to me. And that stops right there. I feel like there maybe should be an opportunity for somebody to be able to express themselves to somebody else to say, hey, I didn't really think that was appropriate, and I think some action should be taken. What about a situation like that?
If we get a complaint where someone is offended by something that's said, we address it. Now, I don't recall that you've gotten complaints like that. But if someone is offended, even though I may not personally think, if they think it affects them, then it needs to be addressed.
Would you take action if somebody makes it?
Absolutely. I mean, we would have to, we'd have to write somebody up or note it in their file, and that this is your first warning, depending on what was said. I mean, if it's a derogatory comment, if it's a sexual innuendo, things like that, we take those serious. I mean, there's state laws, there's labor laws that govern that type of thing, and we wouldn't shove it under a rug. I mean, we couldn't.
I appreciate you saying that, because I think now that you're saying that, and I appreciate you going on record to say that, because I think I've had conversations where just in shop talk or work talk, there have been conversations based on, or just statements made, maybe because there are cultural differences, or maybe because of whatever, that some people may have found to be offensive, that I've gotten a phone call and said, well, I thought this was offensive, but it's not going to go any further because I don't think the people that make the decision would find it offensive. But I'm glad you're saying that.
No, if it's offensive,
so they can bring it to you, and then it'll be addressed.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
I got something. I remember when we created this, they created this committee to do this handbook. And I asked about putting people in the field on this committee. And at the time, the administration said we didn't need that. Well, that's a problem. Because
we did have workers in the field.
But I asked for specific groups, like when we created the consolidation ordinance to affect all the water districts, sewer districts, fire districts. People from that area should have been on. And they said that was way too many people. Well, that's the situation why we're in where we are today, because some of those people ain't scared to ask the tough questions and do the right thing. And we're the ones that approved this book, and actually we got chastised because we didn't approve it right away because we found complaints and problems in it and had to go back and readdress them. This is one of the loopholes that we didn't address.
Thank you, Mr. Adams and Madam Chair, if I might. And just to take that a step further, there was a lot of pressure placed on this council to approve that manual hastily, I believe. And although we did not move on the timeline that we were urged, I still feel that when we approved it, that it was done preemptively because we had not had an opportunity to get this type of feedback from, although one person was responsible for compiling these notes, there are many opinions, or the opinions of many employees that are reflective in these notes. It might have been one person drafting it or typing it, probably because she had access to the equipment to do it, where a lot of other folks just don't even, they're not even capable of creating this type of comprehensive analysis. So there was a spokesperson, I agree with that. But I shudder to think that this one person came up with all of this from her own personal opinions and ideals. And so for that reason alone, I believe that it warranted then and still today warrants some additional consideration, reconsideration. If nothing else, simply to give employees an outlet where they can express whatever grievances, complaints, issues, or concerns they may experience during their normal work, where an independent body that we have worked hard to appoint, called the Personnel Board, would determine whether or not those are issues that are sufficient for them to hold a hearing and make a ruling on, and not the chief administrative officer and or the personnel director alone deciding that. And until that happens, I'm gonna have an issue with this. And if there's no consideration that is going to be given to that, then I think this council will have to face the option of whether or not we repeal this entire instrument. Now, I'm gonna leave you with that tonight, to ponder until we get a little further down the road. But I'm not gonna let it linger too much further. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Item 14B.
Discussion and action relative to collection fee enforcement at the boat landings regarding ordinance number 2355. Mr. Abear?
Because we're running so far behind schedule, I would like to push this on the next agenda. So table it to the next meeting, please.
Motion to table it till next meeting on 14B.
Second.
Second by Mr. Duhon. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Referred from the January 14, 2025 council meeting, Dr. Rink to request an allocation of $500,000 from wards 5 and 8 sales tax fund for drainage and sewer system improvements in the Bayou Vista area.
I'm gonna still stand on my point that I'd like to make that motion that actually be a budgetary item, knowing that the budget is a tool for us as a guide, not necessarily how it's gonna be spent, but at least it attempts to earmark it for those particular projects.
We have a motion by Dr. Rink to allocate the $500,000 from wards 5 and 8 and to be earmarked. Do we have a second?
Madam Chair, correct me if I'm wrong, when,
We don't have a second yet. No discussion yet.
I second it.
Okay, seconded by Mr. Rolfe.
I'm sure, correct me if I'm wrong, when this matter was brought before us last time, it was tabled, and I was successful in getting it tabled. Wouldn't that be my item on the agenda at that point?
So it was
Being
tabled to this
being I was
meeting.
successful in having a table?
Tabling is
And I was
only
able to set
for
the
that.
next date?
Tabling is only for the meeting that you're in. You can table something and then untable it during the meeting. Once it's tabled to a different time, then that doesn't have to be, wait, pull down your mic.
Anyone?
Okay.
I said it can be brought back on the agenda.
By anyone.
Yeah, now it's coming up as Dr. Rink's item.
Right.
Yes.
I'd like to amend that motion, and I would like to have that money designated just for the project at the pump station, the one that was presented to us tonight by Chad for the 1.3 million. I'd like to set that money set aside strictly just for that particular project. And get the additional monies to come forward with that, then we can get forward with that item.
I'm glad you see the light.
Again, I'm not afraid of, spending the money. If I have the money to spend, I want to spend it. I want to improve the Bayou Vista. But, speaking with Chad, he said it tonight that this would be the best use of the said money, provided we get some additional money to go with that in order to get that additional pump at that pump station.
Already have a second on this, right? So we're up for discussion?
Yes, ma'am.
I guess my only comment on that is at that point, we mandate that money or we're pigeonholing it into just that particular project. And if that project doesn't come to fruition, there may be a sewage project that we could facilitate this year that money could be used for. I mean, yes, ideally that would be the situation because we know drainage is a huge problem, but they also have some sewage issues too with the plants and stuff.
Correct.
So,
And I agree with you on that, but also, I think it was last meeting, it was, they said we have, 1.5 or something total fund balance? I mean, so according to the fund balance, there are other funds that we could draw from if said thing happened. And again, this is fluid. We could always amend that as well if something more pressing came to light.
agree. But I think if you leave it more open-ended, then if a project comes up in the meantime, we don't have to come back and amend it again, and we can use it for that particular project.
I mean, we meet here twice a month. We have plenty of time. We could make the motion to change that.
Yeah, Madam Chair. Wouldn't the most flexible way to leave it right where it's at? And then when a project comes up, he could break the motion for whatever it would be. It wouldn't have to be earmarked to anything. The money's still there. It's for 5 and 8. So at any given time, he could put on the agenda, if it's a $50,000 project, he could put that project on the agenda, and with 6 votes, he could get that approved. So I guess I'm still confused on why we gotta move it from where it's sitting to just putting it somewhere else. It's just sitting there. It makes no sense to me.
I remind you, it ain't gonna be sitting nowhere until October.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know.
Yeah, I'm just curious, is there a project in that district that is a now project? Is that something, I mean, I'm not familiar, is that something that we can do right now? I guess this is for the administration. Is that something that can happen now, immediately with 500? Because we're talking about a big number, $500,000. And I'm just curious, is that something that we can do today, tomorrow, the next day?
There's a problem on Tash Road. That's what that little meeting in Bayou Vista was all about. That ditch falling in, people's losing their property as we speak.
That's a $3 million project. I talked to the engineers on it.
That's not a today project.
Correct. That's the issue at hand.
For
You're not gonna have the cash until October.
For Mr. Paul or Mr. Jones, are there any $500,000 projects that we have that we can do
How about
immediately?
How about
With the money?
sewer plant?
I mean, I don't know what the costs are gonna be.
When we allocated it to them to make that choice.
But I'm saying, are you aware of the, and I'm just curious, are there anything that you know of
I
that
mean,
they could kind of
they got 2 capital
do
outlays.
something with now?
And one of them says, drainage culvert installation. Is there something they can do somewhere else that, it's $375,000 with a $125,000 match? So I don't know what the cost of all the projects are. So there may be a smaller project that would fit into this category.
At this point, I mean, the comment I just wanted to make on that is if we allocate it just for that general purpose, then we don't have to come back and reallocate it, and administration can act on that money that's already allocated and already budgeted. And we don't have to make an additional allocation. I mean, theoretically, we don't have an attorney general's opinion on the way the tax law is written, but the way the charter is written, they deal with the budgetary instruments. So, I mean, honestly, it's for fluff if we're allocating it, because if they wanted to use it for that purpose, our parish president can use it for that purpose. Now, I just think that this earmarks it for that particular thing so that the money is there, earmarked, and as soon as a project comes available, it can be used for that purpose.
That's how I see what I want to do as well. When that money comes available, we can get this much needed project done to add that fourth pump to that pump, which help all of Bayou Vista, not just one little section. Yes, it's very important to get that ditch issue fixed or a culvert collapse, but having a pump that's gonna pump more water out is gonna help all of Bayou Vista.
100% agree with
The
you,
only,
but
the only problem I see, all connected together.
Y'all talking
that-
y'all mics, please?
All that needs to be addressed, all at one time. Because if you put a pump at the pump station, you're gonna pull more water. What's gonna happen to that ditch when you pull more water? You're gonna create a current.
But the pump station on the other side of Bayou Vista. Opposite side.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
You're talking about the opposite-
which actually help less water on that side.
I thought they were talking about that pump on that side, because you create a current, then you gotta take it off.
Yes, I'm sorry, Reverend Matthews.
Madam Chair, let me help out. Mr. Paul, did you get a request for drawdown of funds from Recreation District 5 for an allocation that was made back in December for $5,000?
And they got it.
You paid them?
Yes, I did.
Okay, praise the Lord. But 5,000 is much different from 500,000.
Yes, sir, that's correct. We do what we can. They should have already gotten that check.
And we don't have the 500,000 right now sitting there to go get
That's correct.
today.
It would be a hardship, yes.
Come on, let's go.
Then you really have some employees calling you cursing.
Okay, so on the floor, we have an amended motion by Mr. Hill. So we'll vote on the amended motion, if I understood it correctly, to designate the money for the specific project that Mr. Chad Ross brought to us tonight. So I'll have to go back and see what that reads exactly.
That's
That's
for
close.
That's
the
close enough?
Bertrand Vining Pump Station for
Thank
St. Mary
you.
Parish Gravity Drainage District Number 1 of Gravity Drainage District 2.
So we vote on the amended item first. And we're gonna start with Mr. Rolfe. The amended motions first.
Mr. Ruff,
Mr. Rolfe,
the minute motion.
when voting on the amended motion first.
No, ma'am.
Thank you. Mr. Abear,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davis,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Duhon,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Adams,
No, ma'am.
Dr. Rink,
Ma'am.
Mrs. Hidalgo, Reverend Matthews,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Ina,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Olander, he's absent, and Mr. Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
We have 6 yeas, 4 noes, and 1 absent, and the motion carries.
That's the vote on to amend it.
That, yeah,
Now
that's
you
the,
have to
now
vote
you gotta vote
to-
on
Amended motion.
the amended motion.
Correct.
Mhm. Okay.
Can that be all in
Do
favor?
I need-
Yeah, that can be an all in favor, right?
You already have a
Okay,
motion.
okay, amended motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Hey,
Okay, I heard Rolfe. Adams, did you say nay too?
Yes.
And Rink? And you said nay, okay. Motion carries, it's still 6-4. Right, under new business, appointments to the following boards and commissions. Fire Protection District Number 1, Cypremort Point has 2 vacancies. Michael S. Trusclair, present member. What is y'all wishes?
I usually reappoint as members, so I'm gonna make a motion for Mr. Michael Trusclair.
I'll
Thank-
second that.
Thank you, Dr. Rink. Seconded by Mr. Hill. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Recreation District Number 6, Baldwin, Jeanerette, and Sherrington has 1 vacancy. Anna Perry, present member. What is your wishes?
I'll move on Miss Anna Perry.
Reverend Matthews?
I'll second.
Yes, ma'am.
Seconded by Dr. Rink. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next, we have St. Mary Parish Water and Sewer Commission number 4, Chatsworth, St. Joseph, Irish Bend, Oakley, Sorrel, Websterville, Sherrington, St. Peter Street, 3 vacancies. Willie Scott, present member. William P. Gray, present member. Anthony R. Jordan, Camille Punch, and Herbert Dell. What is your wishes?
I'd like to move on reappointing Mr. William P. Gray.
Okay. Mr. Ino would like to just reappoint Mr. William Gray.
And I'd like to table the others.
Okay,
All
okay.
in one motion? All in one motion, right?
Well, okay. Well, he wants to appoint one
Just- so
person,
just
so I need
leave
a
the rest
second.
of them vacant.
I'll second it.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion and a second to appoint Mr. Gray. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And then, would you like the meeting to place this back on next agenda, or you want to call me? Up to you. Oh, yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
it's
so
good.
somebody
It's
was,
good for 6
somebody else
months.
was interested, they could.
It's good for 6 months. If you tell me to table it and put it back on the next one, then I have to put it. Okay, February 11th. Got it.
I'll second that table.
Okay, Ina, table it and second it by Dr. Rink.
I'll
All in
make a motion, we
favor?
adjourn.
Aye.
Second.
Have a motion.
Pass. Motion carries. Let's keep to our, okay, now who? Adjourn.
Who made a second to adjourn?
I'll second.
Adams and Davis.
Davis, second.
Okay.
Any
Adams and
discussion?
Davis.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.